I don't know what to do. I'm in shambles. Look, I'm a married woman with 2 kids. My husband is a mooch who sits around on his ass all day watching sports and smoking while I go out and work. He pretends to watch the kids, but I know he isn't just because of the messes they make while I'm gone. We haven't done anything in years since our daughter was born. When I mean anything, I don't just mean trips or going out because of the time constraints. I mean getting intimate. We don't even kiss or hold hands any longer, and I miss it. I miss it a lot. I'm rambling on here. I know, I'll get to what happened first, but you have to know why. I was so lonely. Work sent me on a trip to my hometown, and I went thinking that I'd see all these people that I went to school with, but everyone had moved. The only person left was an old boyfriend. We still got along as friends, I guess. He's married and always wants to talk dirty online, but I tell him no. Just no. I wouldn't ask him to treat my horrible husband that way, so why would I treat his wife that way? You know what I mean? But it was different when we saw each other in person. It was like that spark happened again, and we fell into each other's arms. I tried to ignore the feeling all night. We went to dinner first, then bar hopping for a little bit. We were both pretty wasted and acting stupid. He started to talk about what a bitch his wife was and how he was going to leave her. He told me how condescending she was to him and how she called him names. He even said that she said he wasn't all that well endowed. That part might be true, I don't remember. It's been a long time. Still, he started to sound angry at her about how much money she made and how much control she had over him and his finances, and even threatened to sue her for alimony. Gross. He made her sound to be incredibly rude. When he finally stopped bitching about her, we had gone through a bottle of rum. Both of us were just sloshed, inebriated. We started kissing outside of the bar, and one thing led to another and ended up in a really shady hotel room about 3 blocks from the place. His hands were all over me and removed my clothes piece by piece. But then my drunk mind started to wander. I really didn't want to do this. I was married with kids. He was married. His wife might have been a bitch, but she didn't deserve this, and neither did my family. I told him to stop, but he didn't listen until he realized that I meant business, and then he pulled away. My clothes were in a pile on the floor. I just stared at them in disbelief and anger. He looked at me and scowled. "What happened to you, Marla? You used to be so hot and successful, and now you're just barely making it." "What? How dare you? I have my problems. You do too." "Not really. You used to be something," he started in again. "You had it all, and you wasted it for your family and went downhill from there. It seems everyone I know has their problems these days. I'm glad I'm above all that. I have my nice home, my big screen TV, and I'm living my dream." I looked at him. "Oh yeah, a big TV, big dream there. And a wife with her family that you hate. Please, you're no better than anyone else. You gave up on your dreams for the almighty dollar, except you're just using her to get even more money. It's disgusting." I started picking up the pieces of my clothes and tossed them on the bed. "Get out," I said. He picked up his shoes and wallet, then left. I was still drunk and angry and had enough of all the BS I put up with dealing with men. He had to pay. He hadn't stopped soon enough, and I was angry about it. So I grabbed my bag and pulled out my cell phone. I don't know what I was thinking. I was just wanted to surf and talk about him to everyone and tell them what a creep he had become, but I couldn't get a signal. And the only thing available was a Wi-Fi with the SSID of Play Me. I figured it came with a hotel, so I joined the network. None of my regular websites were working. I couldn't find any social media sites using my apps, and my browser was only picking up these websites without any names. It was all pretty weird and basic, just plain text pages with links I didn't understand. It was weird and creepy, so I logged off. Since I was paying for the room anyway, I might as well stay and go to sleep. As I dozed off, I heard my phone beep. I thought it might be one of my kids saying goodnight, but it wasn't. It was some number I wasn't familiar with. "I think you have the wrong number," I texted. "I saw everything, Marla. How disappointing. I was hoping to have some fun alone in my room tonight, but you stopped him." I was dumbfounded. Before answering, I looked around the room for any kind of camera or device that might have been recording. There wasn't anything out of the ordinary, so I started searching inside the vents and under the tables. The phone pinged me again. Reluctantly, I picked it up and read the next message. "You won't find it, Marla. I've hidden it well." "What do you want?" I texted back, ignoring this attempt at spooking me. "I want money, Marla. Enough to make up for the time you took me from stopping your lover." "He's not my lover. Get it? I stopped him." There was a long silence, then my phone beeped again. When I looked, there were pictures of me, naked, kissing my old boyfriend. Honestly, I was revolted while kissing him. He was the one who removed my clothes. He was the one shoving that nasty tongue in my mouth. "You've got nothing. I didn't want that," I responded. "Ah, but you did, Marla. Everyone saw you two walking from the bar, getting a hotel room hand in hand. You looked like two old lovebirds on their honeymoon." I winced in shame. The stranger was right. We did look like we wanted to be together, and for a moment I did want him. But I stopped it. Didn't that matter? "What do you want?" I texted back, slowly. "I want money, Marla. 50 G's wired to my bank." "I don't have that kind of money," I responded. "My husband is a loser mooch and spends everything I make." He then sent a picture of my kids to me, the one I carried on the face of my phone everywhere. How did he get that? No, leave them alone," I texted. "They have nothing to do with this." "I'm not a monster, Marla. I don't like to hurt children. But I will if you don't do this one thing for me." "What is it that you want?" "Your old boyfriend. I'm only here because this is a place for him to go and bring his dates. He's a cheater. This guy is a creep. His wife hired me to do something with him." "What does that mean?" I texted back, confused. "I mean that I'm a contract killer, but I also care. I want you to click on this link on your phone. It will take you to a place where you enter his address and agree to the terms." "I'm not clicking on anything," I responded. He hesitated and then came back. "It's too late. I have this conversation saved and I can manipulate it. Whether I grab him myself or you do it is only a matter of time. But it will be easier on us both if you do it. Besides, he's an asshole." Angry and confused, I texted back to the stranger. "I'm going to the cops. You can't stop me." "I can, and I will, Marla. See, he will be dead anyway, and you were the last one to be seen with him. I can keep this conversation quiet and no one will know, and you can play dumb, or I can release it to the press." "You wouldn't get away with it," I screamed in all caps. "Oh, yes I would, Marla. You would be in the news. You would be investigated. They would take your kids. Your life would be ruined." "I can leave this right now and show this text to them too." Suddenly my text changed and said, "I want to help you, but how?" "What the hell?" I shouted at my phone. "I didn't write that," I texted back. "It is all perception. They will think you did, and you will go to prison for it, maybe even the chair, or it will be our little secret. I will give you 10 minutes to decide. If you leave the room, the whole conversation goes out in 5 days. Better disappear by then if you decide to take off." I slammed the phone down and cried. Yes, I hated him, but no, I didn't. I didn't want him killed, but I didn't know what to do. I thought about my beautiful children and the horrible husband I had at home watching them. I should have just gotten divorced and taken the kids far, far away from all of these jerks. Instead, I thought I could make it work. I thought the husband would change and I would never want anyone else, including old flames. I never thought anything like this would happen. I went into the bathroom and splashed water on my face. My color was gone. My eyes were red from crying. Even my hair was wrecked from running my hands through it over and over again. This was so unreal. His soon-to-be ex-wife was planning to kill him, and I could tell him nothing. She didn't seem like a bad person. In fact, I bet all of the bad in their marriage was from him. The way he spoke about her was awful. I suppose she knew he was going to take everything when he divorced her, and even sue her for alimony, yet here I am being the person in the middle, yet again. I guess this isn't what a so-called mistress is, yet I wasn't his mistress. Just an old flame who wanted to have nothing to do with him now or ever again. I picked up the phone and clicked on the link the texter had given me. I could at least look to see what was going on. Maybe it was a prank and he would just get a glitter bomb in the mail, or better yet, a litter box bomb. I laughed a little, thinking about the cat turds exploding all over his face, and waited for the site to load. When it did, there was just a text field labeled address and phone number, then a checkbox. Assuming that it meant his address and phone, I entered the information into the box, then up popped a lot of text that I didn't bother to read. It was too small, I couldn't even see it. There was a small checkbox at the end, and you know how you just check the agree box without reading the terms? I did just that, then clicked submit. A picture of me filling out the information flashed on the phone with a link. Curious, I clicked on the link. It was a video of everything that just happened, including the old boyfriend and I kissing, with a note that said, "Remember, I know all and can see all. Don't bother trying to erase your messages, for I will still have this information, and any attempt to leave or blame anyone else will be on you and your family." Then my phone turned off and rebooted. When I opened the messages, they were all erased, and my normal cell phone functions were back. Even the real Wi-Fi address for the hotel. I turned off Wi-Fi and used cellular data only to call home and ask if everyone was okay, then headed home. The next few days were pretty normal. I went to work and my husband did his normal sleeping on the lazy boy while the kids went to daycare. I no longer trusted them in his care when he started passing out while they were running around. Every morning I waited for a knock on the door from the police, or the stranger that texted me that day, or maybe even my old boyfriend's wife, yet nothing came. Everything was normal. I began to think it was a joke, until I opened my email. It was from his wife asking if I had seen him. "I know we don't know each other, but I do know you have been in contact with Tim over email recently. Have you seen him around? He hasn't been home for days, and I'm a bit worried. I thought maybe he went to see some old friends. Thanks, Julie." I waited for a few hours to respond to try and not look suspicious. She and I both knew what was going on, and I'm sure she was just as nervous as I was. "I haven't seen him for a few days. He stopped by for drinks and then got really drunk, so I said he shouldn't drive and helped him pass out in a hotel room. I probably should have texted you, but I didn't want you to get the wrong idea. I haven't seen him since I left." Technically, my message was true, and she knew it. About a month later, I received a copy of what I think was the contract I signed over the phone, reminding me that I needed to keep my mouth shut. It was about 3 pages long and talked about the sale of body organs to an underground market, and that if I repeated any of the same information, that mine would be sold as well. Story number 2. Never trust people to put apps on your cell phone. When I got my first cell phone, I wasn't aware of all the dangers that could happen. My parents gave it to me because they thought it would keep me safe from strangers because I could call them if I ever got lost or hurt. They got me one of the nice fancy ones with a data plan and unlimited minutes and browsing. While that might be nice, I realized later that it was a huge problem in my life, and it wasn't until now that I decided the only phone I needed was a basic cell phone. I'll tell you why I've decided to do something so drastic. When I had just turned 18, my friend had this party. We did what most kids do during a birthday party and drank. Her parents were there, so I thought everything was cool. Her dad worked in some high-tech business and put an app on my phone and said if I ever needed them, I could use the app to show them my location, and he could come and help. He put it on all of the phones available and said it was free and shouldn't be a problem. Then the parents went up to their bedroom upstairs while we were all down in the living room with loud music. Some of us were sitting out by the pool when the neighbor came over, complaining about the noise. My friend went up and got her parents, who then said we all had to go home, or the neighbor was going to go tell the police they were giving alcohol to minors. I called my mom and left a message, and then waited while watching all of my other friends leave with their parents. Some of them asked if I needed a ride home, and I just told them no, and that I'd wait for my mom or dad to show. They had a really long driveway, and I just didn't want to sit up at the house and listen to my friend screaming at her parents for sending all of her friends home, so I walked down the driveway to the big stone mailbox, which was really far from their house. I waited for about an hour, and my parents never showed. I looked back up at the house, and it was all dark, like they had all gone to bed, so I just started walking home. We lived in these big houses out in the middle of the hills. Each house was about 5 miles from the next, with my house being about 10 miles away. It was really foggy, and I was cold and wet. I felt horrible. I tried calling my parents again, but no one answered. I thought I'd take the chance and see if my app worked okay. When I clicked on it, a map showed up saying, "You are here," and that's about it. I didn't know what to do, so I left it open just in case it was sending her dad a message or something. I kept on walking, and I heard the sound of tires behind me. When I turned, there was a large gray van with tinted windows pulling up beside me. I looked to see the sliding door of the van open and a man with a ski mask on, ready to grab me. So I ran. I reached my other friend's house that sat between our two properties, and as I started to go into the driveway, the man in the van pulled me inside. I kicked and screamed at him, dropping my phone outside on the road as he started to shut the door, but then my right heel smacked him in the throat, and he bounced back against the wall of the van, and I fell out of the door. I rolled onto the gravel, scraping up my face and legs. In terrible pain, I got up and limped to my friend Teresa's house, while screaming for her to come out. When she did, the van sped off. Teresa brought me inside her room and showed me the same app on her phone and told me to delete it. I asked her why she hadn't been at the party, and she said that after Michaela's dad put the app on her phone, the same thing happened to her, but she went along with it. I looked around her room, really noticing all of the expensive items she had on her shelves, knowing that her parents wouldn't have bought those for her. Knowing I needed to keep my mouth shut at that point, I called my parents from her phone. They came and got me, telling me they had been waiting for me to call and never received any of my messages. I told them what happened. The cops were called, and since Michaela's dad was the mayor in town, my other friend's parents were arrested, but the whole thing went underground and was never spoken about again. I risked my life talking about this here, and now hoping that none of them ever find me.